Well, since we missed our regular Pokemon run back in November, I'm rolling the themes together this time. Skitty happens to be a Pokemon that is very relevant to my history, as well as being a favourite of mine. This adorable little kitty may not pack a good punch, or take one either, but how can you say no to that face? So can you beat Pokemon Emerald with only a Skitty? The rules are as always. I can only use a Skitty in battle. Other members may be in my party for HMs but cannot be used in battle. No items in battle, and no glitches or exploits. Now then, normally to get a Skitty I would have to trek all the way to Route 116 near the first gym town. But for the first time, I'm on a game that's capable of using the Universal Randomizer, so I edited the game to swap out Trico for Skitty in the starter selection. Nothing else was changed. Why Trico, you ask? Well, I wanted to give May the most difficult starter for this run. This may come back to bite me later, but for now I'm optimistic. Anywho, one Zigzagoon later and we're given our starter. Meet Princess. Now Princess has one glaring issue. Until level 27 we're stuck using Tackle. Against May and her Torchic it isn't too big of an issue as we're able to easily outdamage it. But given Tackle's accuracy this could snowball very quickly. For now though we do a few small things. Get our Pokedex, meet up with Dad and Wally, chase off some pirates, you know, the usual. In all seriousness, our first encounter with Team Aqua was frankly pathetic. 3 whole hits is all we needed. With one businessman saved, we can head onwards towards Rustboro City and our first gym. This is where things went downhill fast. For starters, this is a rock-type gym, so we barely do anything. Using a track to immobilize our opponents and Tail Whip to lower the defenses, we can slowly take out the gym trainers. Only one issue. Roxanne's Pokemon are all female, meaning Attract won't work, and we have to rely on the significantly less accurate Sing. Fun. Needless to say, this gym absolutely rocked me over and over again. I came back pretty much every other level to try again. 17, 20. Didn't seem to matter. Through a heavy amount of RNG, I did manage to make it to the second Pokemon, but that's about as far as I got for a while. Now while I felt it was possible at 20, there comes a point when you've been losing to the first gym for hours that you just say bugger this and start grinding again. Level 23? Fail. Level 25? Fail. Using Struggle for a higher power move? Fail. But admittedly, the closest I've gotten. Nosepass is just a little bit too tanky for us to finish. Well, I can't say I didn't see this coming, but level 27 we get Feint Attack. Now that we're no longer resisted, and that we're hilariously overleveled, this gym finally meets its end. That's gotta be one of the most miserable times I've ever had with the first gym in all of the challenge runs I've ever done, both on this channel and in my personal time. Moving on, pirates are doing their usual, stealing. But unsurprisingly, they get absolutely bodied and forced to return their stolen goods. We get thanked and then forced into an introvert's nightmare. A mandatory meeting followed by a phone call. After recovering, we set sail for Dewford. I picked up a fashionable scarf, stumbled around the dark for a while until we found Stephen and delivered a letter to him. Now for Dewford Gym. Yeah, that ain't happening. Look, it took this long to beat the Rock Gym. Do you really think I want to go through that again immediately? Thankfully, Dewford Gym is optional for now. So over in Slateport, we once again deal with Captain Jack Daniels' rowdy ruffians before setting out north towards May Battle 2. She begins with a Wingull that manages to get off a growl before going down. Then comes in Combuskin. We set up a tract and get hit for half health. Then we put it to sleep and start hitting for... oh dear. Perhaps Tail Whip can help? No? Well, at this speed it was only a matter of time before Combuskin broke through the traction and booted us back to Slateport. I tried a few more times, but the story goes pretty much the exact same way time after time. My let's level again. At level 35, I'm barely able to take out Combuskin. However, her Lombre is easily able to eat our hit and take away our last HP. At level 39, we gain Double Edge. The addition of this single move lets us one-shot Combuskin, leaving us an easy time mopping up her Lombre. But I'm not gonna lie, I hate that I'm already this high level. Oh well, guess it means I'll have an easy time for a while, right? Before the next gym though, gambling! Oh, and Wally too, not that he's really worth mentioning right now. Well, it's time for Watson. His Voltorb goes down in one hit, followed by his Electrike. Unfortunately though, we do get paralyzed, letting his Magneton get off a few hits. But it's okay, I'm sure we can... Oh dear. So yeah, even this overleveled, we only do half the Magneton. Well, I'm sure that was just bad luck. Finally, I made it through and... Oh yeah, he has another Mon. Completely forgot. And was slower. Bugger. I am not gonna sugarcoat it, we needed to level again. At level 45, I technically beat the gym. I say technically because we also fainted at the same time due to Double Edge's recoil. So it was our loss in the end, but that means at least we should only need a few more levels. At 47, we managed to overcome this hell. Now can we please stop this leveling nonsense? Over in Fall Arbor Town, I picked up the TM for Dig, giving us at least one more decent attacking option. Then we saw Captain Planet's Lava Lads harassing a scientist. Maxie's lot here was actually kind of a breeze. Well, apart from the time that I forgot Camera had magnitude, but that's on me. Second time around, it was a very easy sweep. Now, I'm gonna go give that meteorite back to its rightful owner. In return, we get Return. So we finally don't have to rely on self-damaging moves anymore. This is the beginning of what I like to call the snowball. Our sheer level advantage and decent attacks allow us to easily one-shot the entirety of Laridge's gym, including Flannery's Nummel, Slugma, Camerupt, and Torkoal. Then it was back to Dewford, where I may have left things just a wee bit too late, as Brawly's Machop, Meditite, and Makuhita all crumpled before our superior firepower. Next was our father Norman. His Spinder folds in one hit, leading to slacking, which is actually quite the threat. But you see, this is actually what I picked up Dig for. You can't hurt what you can't hit. So using Dig to take advantage of truant turns, we slowly whittled down its health bar. This just leaves Vigoroth, who didn't really like our return to Monkey, and Lanoon, which got completely squished. The Weather Institute had been taken over by Captain Crunch and his soggy crew, but again our level advantage left them out to dry, leading directly into May 3. Well, I'll give it to her. Her Combuskin survived a single hit, which is more than I could say for most things right now. Too bad it can do barely anything to us in return. Starting to think my rival's starter choice didn't really matter in the long run. Now the next gym is currently blocked, so we meet up with Steven, who gives us an item to do the impossible, see the invisible. Row, row, fight the power. It's time for Winona. Her Swablu, Tropius, and Pelipper all fall with relative ease, but I've got to give her credit. The Skarmory is able to tank our hits like a champ, and it also tanks our accuracy with Sand Attack. This leads to us missing against Altaria and getting paralyzed. From here we missed again, taking us into the red, and just barely not getting the one shot, leading to a loss. Second time around though, our luck isn't quite so grim, letting us chip through Winona's potion supply for an eventual win. Over at Mount Pyre, we briefly deal with Captain Britain's Weather Warriors once again, leading to an assault on Dr. Evil's secret volcano lair. Sadly, Dr. Evil has stepped out, leaving just Mad Max to take over. Despite confusing us and lowering our attack, this battle was once again a one-shot fest. Now that we've dealt with one team though, it's time to assault the base of Captain Crack Sparrow and his Pirates of the Plebeian. Unsurprisingly, They stood no chance. But that led me to the moment I'd been dreading, Liza and Tate. To address the elephant in the room, no, we cannot battle them using only a Skitty. They would not even consider fighting us without a second party member, so meet the emotional support Magikarp. He just sits there and does nothing. Well, except faint, that is. Now that we're in a 2v1 situation, our level advantage means very little. While we can take out Claydol, Lunatone comes in and tanks us while Xatu sets up Calm Minds and sweeps. Now I know what you're thinking, just take out the Xatu. Well, Claydol's Earthquake chips us for decent damage and Lunatone can also set up sweep. I am not going to mess around here. Level 85. That's how long it took us before we could survive the 2v1 phase of this fight, with enough HP to take out the last Mon. That's over 5 hours of footage for this fight alone. Liza and Tate are always an issue in Gen 3 runs, but man, this time it was extra rough. At least we get to take out our frustration on some landlubbers, then scour the ocean to find Captain Kirk and his weary wanderers. Let's be real, I'm level 85, nothing is gonna stand a chance for a while. Well, both teams have messed up something as basic as colour matching, leading to the most one-sided brawl I've seen in a while. Unfortunately, it's kind of ending the world, so off we go to find the jolly green gherkin in the sky to put an end to this nonsense. It's time for the final gym. Do I even need to say it? One shot, one shot, one shot, and lastly, 4 shot. What, did you expect one shot? We barely don't have enough damage, which doesn't actually bode that well for what comes on next. But first, Wally. Moving on. Now before I go into the Elite Four, I went around and collected all the elixirs and rare candies I knew about. First up was Sydney. Right off the bat we're at -1 thanks to Intimidate. To add insult to injury, he begins lowering our accuracy. Luckily we crit, leading to Shiftry. After a brief stare down from both sides, we hit a return for 3/4 before it double teams. They heal up, but we bring them back to the red immediately, before a miss results in us getting swaggered. But some luck and we hit, leading to Cacturn. Cue 2 self-hits in a row, a miss and a flinch. Talk about rotten luck. Second try around, and we manage to one-shot Cacturn. Out comes Crawdon, which we don't one-shot, but it wastes its turn using Swords Dance. Unfortunately we miss, which leads to some damage, but we still take it down with minimal effort. Last up is Absol, which Swords Dances, and we barely don't KO. But eating a rock slide, we manage to beat the first member of the Elite Four. I heal up and head into Battle 2 with Phoebe. She starts off with a Dusclops that will always protect turn 1. Our dig is unfortunately doing very little. Add on Confusion and this becomes a real pain, but the real danger is Curse. Simply put, getting cursed means it's game over. We cannot overcome the amount of damage it does. Since I didn't really have the damage to beat Dusclops fast enough, I took the loss and went back to the move relearner to grab back Feint Attack. Feint Attack can do just over half HP to a Dusclops, but Curse ended more runs than I can count. In a best case scenario, it fails to protect on turn 2, letting us get to Bayonet unharmed. Here we get a crit that lets us go to Sableye, but we're doing just under a third of its health as it double teams. After losing about a third of our health to chip damage, we come to Bayonet number 2, which thankfully does minimal damage to us with Psychic before we 2-shot it. Outlast is another Dusclops, but this time we do just under half. But that's okay as we outdamage it easily. Oh dear. We've run out of Feint Attacks. Our only option is to dig, and in that moment our victory was snatched right from under us as it used Earthquake, sending us right back to the start. It took a very long time to get another decent run going. Between bad luck on the curses and getting burned by Will-O-Wisp, we're just not having an easy time here. But finally our luck turns around and... oh, come on! It's fine. We have the HP to survive until we fall out. We can still do this. I hate you. An hour later, and we finally get back to the final Dusclops. And don't have another catastrophic show of bad luck, letting us finally move on to Glacier. Glacier, quite frankly, is a pushover compared to our previous Elite Four members. Seriously, everything in here was either a one-shot or nearly a one-shot. In fact, the only reason I didn't beat her the first time was more freeze shenanigans. I swear, I've never seen freeze proc this much before. The last Elite Four member is Drake the Dragon Master. His shell gun's a bit of a tank, but it wastes its turn on a failed protect, letting us get rid of his potion and get to Altaria. I go for a tract here, but that was kind of a waste as we almost one-shot. Next up is Kingdra, who we barely don't one-shot, but its surf isn't too threatening, leading to Flygon. We hit it into potion range as Earthquake does very little to us, letting us very easily pick up the KO. Last is Salamence. Firstly, we get intimidated, which is bad news. We make the dragon fall in love with our princess, and I was trialing Thunderbolt here, but I'm gonna be honest, it did so little compared to Return. Unfortunately, we took a Dragon Claw which took us from half health to 0. But with a little bit of a track luck on attempt number 2, it goes a lot better, letting us just barely scrape through to the champion, Wallace. Up first is Wailord, and if you've been around the community for a while, you may raise eyebrows at me using a tract on it, but I assure you, it was a vital step. Thanks to Attract and Blizzard's bad accuracy, we were able to clear Wailord without any damage. Next up is Tentacruel, which goes down in a single hit. Ludicolo, though, barely survives and sets a Leech Seed. Needless to say, this is a bad situation. By the time I had wasted his potion supply, we were already at half HP, leading into Wish Cache. Its surf isn't really too dangerous, but combined with the chip from Leech Seed, we faint just as Gyarados comes in. Round 2 I managed to avoid being seeded, which lets us get to Gyarados with pretty much no HP lost. Intimidate is not ideal in this situation, but we're able to do just about half of its HP as it Dragon Dances. I was kinda scared here, but it went for a second Dragon Dance and paid the price for it. Outlast is Milotic. I attract to buy some more time, only to get hurt rather badly by Surf. A return is doing just over half, but it's barely not enough since its Citrus Berry puts it out of KO range. Luckily it goes for Recover, which pulls it out of potion range and just within KO range, letting us get a final hit and become Hoenn champions. With that, the official part of the run is done, but I know what you all want, so I'll give it a shot. Tucked away in the back of Media Falls is the post-game super boss, the former champion, Steven Stone. His first mon, Skarmory, is a huge problem. We do barely anything to it with Return, and between its Steel Wing and Toxic, it's able to take us out easily on its own. To counter this, I taught Skitty Thunderbolt from my hours spent gambling, but at our current level it's still a free shot. But next is Armaldo, and once again we have nothing that will damage this thing very much, leading to another loss. I opted to go to level 100 here to see if that made a difference. In terms of Skarmory, we're now 2-shot, but Armaldo is a 4-shot even with Water Pulse. The Confusion Chance couldn't save us either. It's time to try something I normally wouldn't, but if I don't, I probably won't win anyways. Double Team. Armaldo does have Aerial Ace, so it's not a perfect solution, but it does save us from some of the more dangerous moves. After a long battle of attrition, we come to Claydol. We only do half, but At this point, we're at +6 evasion, so it can't touch us. Same story goes for Agron. But then came Cradily. Once again, we're doing very little to it, and it has Ingrain. Yeah, this is a problem. We actually ended up running out of moves against this mon. Time for another strategy change. I ended up dropping Return for Ice Beam, and gave Princess a King's Rock to hold. This time, when we encountered Cradily, we had an attack that could do decent damage, enough to overcome the natural healing of Ingrain, bringing us finally to Metagross. Our dig is doing just about a quarter of its HP, but a berry brings it just out of 4-shot range. Add on a final potion and our PP is looking dicey. We use most of our PP on Thunderbolt, bring Metagross into what looks like a good range for one last dig, but we barely missed the KO. Luckily I still had some PP left on Thunderbolt, letting us finally take our well-earned victory. Well, that was certainly a run. I have never had such an inconsistent difficulty on a run before. Some fights I'd steamroll, some fights I have over 6 hours of footage for. Hell, I have 8 for Steven. Overall, it was a very fun run, but incredibly taxing. Can't say I'd do it again. Anyways though, happy Pokemon Day everyone. Join us back here on March 8th for something a little bit different. We're off to ancient Egypt as it's time to duel. See you then.